Well, hello, America. Welcome to Common Sense. I'm Wendy Bell. We Americans who believe in liberty and justice for all thought we'd actually get it. But now we're told no. No, in fact, everything you thought you knew about pedophile Jeffrey Epstein and the throngs of powerful people who had sex with enslaved underage girls, nope. There are no records or files or lists that exist that will finally make those names public. So who are the actors and the lawyers and senators, former presidents, heads of state, sitting congresspeople who should be blacklisted from society because they reportedly had sex with children? No clue. And we're not going to find out. Oh, and this too. The same people who told us there's no way Jeffrey Epstein killed himself are now telling us Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. That's it. Story's closed. Move along. That's what President Trump's DOJ and FBI are saying, and to make this super unreal story worse. The president said this to a reporter who asked about a missing minute of footage from outside Epstein's jail cell.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable.
Well, I'll tell you a few things that are unbelievable. Woo boy. Let's meet today's panel of talk radio hosts to get their hot takes from all across America. You ready? Brian Craig co-hosts the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig on the True Oldies channel, 95.3 and 96.9 FM out of Florida. Wendy Patrick hosts Today with Dr. Wendy on KCBQ Radio, The Answer from San Diego. And Chris Arps co-hosts the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on News Talk St. Louis 101.9 and 94.1 FM from the Show Me State. Guys, okay, I know we've all talked about it. The Department of Justice and the FBI releasing this joint memo stating that their review of the Epstein case files uncovered no incriminating client list, no evidence of blackmail, and no grounds to charge any third parties. So wait, Pam Bondi said in February, right? The file was on her desk. She said she'd seen the names, but now there are no names and there is no list. And the only guilty party is Prince Andrew? Really? I mean, Chris, how about you take the first swing here? What do you think is going on?
Yeah, I think this whole episode has caused way more questions than any answers that may have answered. Look, I've been with this administration about 100% on the substance, not so much on style on some things, but this is very disappointing. Look, there are so many irregularities, you could say, in this situation that there's no way that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. You know, look at the fact that he tried to commit suicide just a couple of days before that. He was placed in a jail cell by himself. The jail guards that were charged with sleeping on the job, their charges against them were dropped. I mean, you could go on and on and on here. Look, I think the Trump administration has proved that there is such thing as a deep state, and I think the deep state, for some reason, does not want the real evidence, the real news of this getting out. I think because it affects so many high-level people from all different walks of life, from all different parties.
Yeah, it might be more than that too, Chris. I hear what you're saying. Wendy, you're always nicer than I am. So how about this? President Trump, she's always like the positive one. I'm like, President Trump clearly wants the story put to pasture. So I want to know, why do you think it is? Of all stories to 86, I think Democrats and Republicans alike agree that identifying pedophiles, especially high-profile elite pedophiles, is an American priority. There's got to be a deeper and much bigger story here. What do you think, Wendy?
You know, I usually am just as suspicious as you and many others, but I have to tell you, the way in which this was teased up with Pam Bondi early on made me wonder how much she'd actually had a sneak preview of the evidence herself.
All right, we're going to try to get you back. Wendy, I hear you. Brian, I'm going to bring you in to see if you can cover for Wendy as we reestablish her signal. What do you think is happening?
Well, anyone who says it's a conspiracy, the two most vocal people in America saying Epstein didn't kill himself, there's a list. The FBI have it. Is of course the current FBI director, Kash Patel, and Dan Bongino, the deputy director. So when we have the current FBI director, the current deputy director saying for 4 years It's true. There's files. There's a list. There's no way he killed himself. And then they just come out and say, nothing to see here. I don't buy it. The American people aren't buying it. And Pam Bondi, she messed up big time.
Yeah. And you know what, Wendy, let's bounce back to you. I think we've reestablished you. You were saying about Pam Bondi. Go ahead.
I was saying, you don't know whether or not it's saying something she knew she couldn't deliver, or just creating great expectations because she didn't take the sneak peek of the evidence she needed to take in order to accurately represent what was in that folder. And we know that that's what she's saying now because she said, oh, it was a file on my desk. I really didn't look through it. There were other files on my desk too. But I'll tell you, with something like this that matters so much to the victims, to the American public, this is the kind of thing that she should have known what's in it before making any promises to the American public as to being able to deliver.
Right. And Chris, Politico, of course, is salivating over this. They say the administration's botched investigation into this whole Epstein thing threatens to destabilize this close relationship between the president and his base. Do you agree with you? Do you agree with that? Like, the DOJ can target Americans at the Capitol and throw them in the gulag, but elite pedophiles get a pass. Like, has the president botched this, or maybe are we being played?
Look, I think the president was correct back in 2016 when he said that he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and his base would still be with them. I still think that's the case. I think some of the MAGA base are disappointed because of some of the actions the president has taken with sending weapons to Ukraine, to bombing Iran's nuclear facilities, and then with this Jeffrey Epstein investigation. I think there's disappointment there, but I think ultimately they realize what all of us realize is that the Democrats and the liberal progressives are much worse, and that Donald Trump is human just like anyone else. And on this one, many of us think that the administration got it wrong.
So, Brian, some people on social media say they think the president has the list, right? That the raid on Mar-a-Lago was actually the DOJ trying to get the list back, and that the president is using this to blackmail the deep state and maybe even foreign governments. Think about trade deals going on right now, peace deals going on. Are those in play? What's your take on that?
Now, I don't think President Trump is doing anything like that. He's never broken the law once in his life, and all they've done is try to set him up on a fake, made-up charges every other day during the last 4 years. So I don't think he's doing anything like blackmail or extortion. But I'll tell you, Pam Bondi was the attorney general in Florida for 2 terms, okay? And the Epstein case was a local story in Florida for years before it was a national story. She knows this case inside and out. I don't blame Trump for any of this. I think he picked Bondi, Kash Patel, and Bongino for the Epstein reveal, and they all blew it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm much more of a conspiracy theory than you fine, wonderful people on the panel. But I love your takes. All right, you guys do not go anywhere, because if you've been paying attention, it's sort of like the War of the Roses, right? Wars of the Roses. Elon Musk, President Trump fighting online on their own monster social media channel. So what is it? Is it ego? Is it acting? Is it a threat to the MAGA base and agenda? Well, we're going to ask our guests, so you can decide, coming up next on Common Sense.